they see me, because I have hoped in your word. Let me say that again. Those who fear you will be glad when they see me, because I have hoped in your word. So the psalmist here is saying, as you follow God and you are led by God, others who fear God will see the value in you. They will be glad to see you. How many people, when you walk in Walmart and they see you, they go the other way, right? They don't see the value in seeing you. They're not glad to see you. They should be glad to see you. When a believer, when a follower of Jesus Christ enters into a room, enters among people, we should bring light with us, not darkness, not discouragement, not, oh, poor, pitiful me. I've had a bad day. Everything's going wrong. I just don't know if I can get up tomorrow and do it again. That's not our attitude. We are light. We are salt to the earth. If anybody has reason to rejoice, it's the followers of God. They should be glad to see us coming. They should say, here comes somebody that's going to bring some wisdom to us. Here comes somebody that's going to bring some encouragement to us. Here comes somebody, and people should enjoy working with you. People should enjoy, I got to be careful here, living with you, right? Because you bring joy, you bring happiness. They're glad to see you. Church, we should be that light. We should be that salt to the earth that gives it flavor, that gives it that savoring feeling that helps and not hurts. So he says, because I've hoped in your word. Verse 75. I know, O Lord, that your judgments are right, and that in faithfulness you have afflicted me. Now, we learned a little bit about this last week. I think it was, yes, in verses 67 and 70 and 71. But again, here we see the psalmist talks about affliction. And he says again that in faithfulness you have afflicted me. God has afflicted the psalmist because God is faithful. Same thing we deal with our children. If we're going to be faithful to be a good parent to our children, we're going to be faithful in afflicting our children when they get off course, when they do wrong. So the psalmist learned that being afflicted by the hand of God was something that was understood as something that he needed, and that God was right by what he did when he afflicted him. Now that's hard to process sometimes. You know, have you ever gotten onto your children, or we still spank, and I've been spanked, and probably worse. But it's hard for a child to ever come back and say, hey, Mom, Dad, you were right. You were right by disciplining me. You were right, and I was wrong. Now, not many children come back and do that until they're, 35 and 40 when they have children, right? But the psalmist realizes that God is right. When he has received affliction from God, that God was right and that he was out of line. So what we recognize a lot of times, don't become angry with God because God corrects you. Appreciate that. Just as a child will eventually appreciate a parent who corrected them. Just as a child understands that correction is out of love. It's not abuse when it's out of love. It's out of trying to correct that child and to help that person. So the psalmist says, you have done this in faithfulness. You have afflicted me with faithfulness. So verse 76 says, let, I pray, your merciful kindness be for my comfort, according to your word to your servant. Verse 77 says, let your tender mercies come to me, that I may live. For your law is my delight. So he appeals not just to God's affliction, but to God's mercy. And I'm thankful for God's mercy. Church, we all should be grateful for the merciful hand of God, who does not give us what we truly deserve. Many of us tonight would not be able to be in this building tonight if we received justice. We really need mercy. I dealt with this. Let me throw this out here to you because I dealt with this question, and you may deal with this question at some point. But as you know, I'm 100% pro-life, and I believe abortion is wrong. It's a sin. I believe it's murder. And a lady asked me, she said if I was pro-life, and of course I am, and she said, do you believe a woman, and I don't want anybody to answer this out loud. I want you to think about this. She said, do you believe a woman who has an abortion should be executed? That was her question to me. So it was a hard question, because if I believe in that it's murder,